Scattered across the cliffsides of southern China are wooden coffins fastened to sheer rock faces hundreds of meters above the ground. They belong to the Bo people, a group that had largely disappeared from documented history by the end of the Ming Dynasty. Even today, some of these coffins are impossible to reach safely without modern climbing gear. And yet, the Bo managed it hundreds of years ago, without our technology, while carrying the deceased and their coffins. Many questions remain about these ancient people, including how the practitioners of the hanging coffin tradition are genetically related to one another, and whether the present-day Bo are genetically and culturally related to these ancient practitioners. These are the questions that Dr. Zhu and his colleagues set out to answer in a genetic study. Around 50,000 to 65,000 years ago, anatomically modern humans first began occupying regions of East Asia. Skip forward a few thousand years and these early hunter-gatherers came into contact with some of the earliest Neolithic farmers who had begun migrating southward. Their arrival marked the start of a major demographic and cultural transformation, including the rise of hanging coffin customs. This custom involved placing a wooden coffin containing the remains of the deceased on elevated locations such as cliffs, caves, and rock crevices, often located along riverbanks, coastlines, and mountainous regions. Such coffins have been documented across China in over 20 different counties, from Yunnan to Sichuan and from Hunan to Guangxi. Among the earliest hanging coffins known to archaeology are those in the Fuyi Mountains in Fujian province. According to radiocarbon dates, these were produced between 3,445 and 3,370 years before present. From here, the tradition seems to have spread to other parts of China before moving south and westward into far-flung regions. While archaeology can provide evidence of the custom, it does not always yield answers to the cultural meaning and identities associated with hanging coffins. Even in the ancient past, the Bo people's tradition fascinated historians, and where they lacked historical clarity, mythology often filled the gaps. For example, the Bo were referenced in regional folklore under names such as the Subjugators of the Sky and Sons of the Cliffs, with some even claiming they were capable of flight. This likely stemmed from the fact that it is not entirely clear how the Bo managed to get their coffins onto the steep cliffsides. After the Ming Dynasty prosecuted them, many of the remaining Bo scattered into surrounding regions, where they changed their identities and merged with surrounding populations. However, one Bo group still lives in Yunnan province, and as of 2003, they comprised approximately 5,084 individuals scattered across 42 natural villages. Due to them living in remote landscapes, many of their unique cultural practices could be maintained. Though they no longer practice the hanging coffin tradition, they do practice cave burials, in which the spiritual essence of the dead is brought to ancestral caves. To determine to what extent this population is related to the ancient Bo people, a genetic study was conducted sequencing the genomes of individuals from archaeological sites and remnant Bo populations. A total of 33 human remains were analyzed from sites across southern China and Thailand. After filtering out samples that didn't yield enough high-quality data, 14 ancient genomes remained. The genetic analysis revealed that most individuals from the Yunnan and Guangxi sites were genetically similar to one another and to ancient coastal populations of southeastern China. The results reinforce the idea that the earliest hanging coffin tradition likely originated in the southeastern coastal regions of China before spreading into southern China and mainland Southeast Asia. And yet 2 unexpected finds were made. 2 individuals from the Washi hanging coffin site in Yunnan were genetic outliers. Dated to around 1,200 years before present, they had northeastern Asian DNA from the Mongolian Plateau and Yellow River Farmer DNA from northern China. These dates fall within the demographic heyday of the Tang Dynasty, which may have led to greater diffusion of northeastern Asian communities, possibly even within the otherwise rather insular ancient hanging coffin community. Interestingly, while the log coffin people of Thailand shared ancestry with the hanging coffin populations of southern China, these connections seem to have been primarily driven by men. Mitochondrial DNA, which is passed on from the mother to the child, shows local matrilineal lineages in Thailand. This suggests that hanging coffin ancestry was spread by men who migrated from southern China into Southeast Asia, married local women, and in the process brought the hanging coffin tradition with them. And what about the modern Bo? Are they indeed the descendants of the ancient hanging coffin-associated individuals, or did the Ming successfully cause them to all but disappear, with the modern population only falsely believing they are the descendants? The general narrative has been that the Bo people disappeared during the latter half of the Ming dynasty, prosecuted to near extinction by military expeditions into their mountain homelands. The remnants of these people scattered into the wind. However, it seems the Ming were unable to successfully exterminate the Bo, as the remnant modern Bo people do seem to have inherited their primary ancestry from the ancient Hanging Coffin associated individuals. In fact, the modern Bo people share a huge amount of genetic drift with ancient Hanging Coffin practitioners from Yunnan. Interestingly, analysis of copper artifacts found in the ancestral caves used by the living Bo people in their cave burials suggests that these objects have been in use for approximately 400 years, dating back to the late Ming dynasty period. This corresponds to when the practice of the hanging coffins and historical reference to the Bo disappeared. So, the Bo endured. Despite prosecution, despite centuries of isolation, the genetic and cultural threads connecting them to those ancient cliffside burials remain unbroken. The people who were once called Sons of the Cliffs may no longer hang their dead from mountainsides, but their story, written in DNA and copper artifacts and cave burials, continues to this day. This was Archaeology Tea House. If this video was your cup of tea, please like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to never miss a video.